All right, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. Hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, Saturday, the day before the game, the day before we get back from the bye, all that stuff. And what do you know? We've got a game that I think, this might be the most impactful game of our season for a number of reasons. If you guys are a Lions fan, you know there's always people, whether it's locally, nationally, whatever it is, national media, looking to come down on the line and say, hey, yeah, they're 6-2, but the asterisk remark after Kansas City. So why do I put in the thumbnail that I think this is a huge must-win game for Detroit? Couple things. One, we want to see how our coordinators have evolved. And I think you guys have heard me talk about it for a while. Our OC, our DC, I think they've definitely improved over the years. But with that also being said, I think they've got a lot to prove. If this team's really going to be a playoff team, make a push, a legitimate push in the playoffs to do something, then they need to show that in games like tomorrow, they have improved. They have learned from past mistakes, situations, the things that we get the players are improving, but we want to also see with the coaches. That focus is going to begin with me on Aaron Glenn. But before we get into all that, let's talk about a couple things that, hey, I got to pay bills. I got to do all this stuff to help support the channel. So if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, I would ask you to please consider doing so. We're about 35 subscribers away from 4,200. So tell your mama, tell her friends, go up in the stands at a game today and start talking to people about Lions Talk Live. Do whatever you got to do. I'm out here hustling for you 7 days a week. So if you can, just, help support the channel and help it get to 4,200 by kickoff tomorrow. Also, if you got a free second, hit that thumbs up button, like button, whatever you want to call it. That also being said, most of you know, outside of coaching and doing YouTube, I'm also a realtor, have been for over 30 years. So if you're considering buying or selling property in the state of Michigan, take a moment of your time, give me a call, shoot me a text, and let me see if I can work on your behalf to save you some money. All right, moving on from all that. I see the comment section is already moving. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. Phil, greetings and salutations. May the dew be with you. Same to you, Phil. And thanks for popping in this morning. Dan, what's your biggest sale in real estate? I guess, I don't know. You mean dollar amount or size of a property? Let me know, Phil. In real estate, yep. And Zayla Howe, yeah. Good morning to you too, Phil. All right, Trey, what do you got? Morning all. I'm beyond ready for the team to play again. And it does seem like it's been a minute. That's one thing about the bye. I'm guessing everybody in the comment section are watching this either right now or later in the day will agree. You really get pumped up and looking forward to those the weekend games, whether it's the NFL or college football. I get some people watch both. It just becomes a part of your routine and your norm. And when you start having that go away, it's kind of like, man, what do I do now? But I think, hey, the good thing is we're back and playing tomorrow, and this is going to be a real impressive game, in my opinion. All right, Drake, what do you got? It's the weekend, so I can make these live. Thanks for hosting them, Coach. Hey, no problem, man. Like I told you guys, I enjoy doing them. When the season is over, I know I have to come up with some different topics on the Lions. The draft's one thing, free agency is one thing. But there'll be some lean times for sure for about a month where the draft's over, free agency's over. Oof, you guys gonna put me to the test coming up with different topics. All right, Phil, Sarge was great, and that cup of coffee was hilarious. Yeah, I mean, Sarge enjoys his coffee without a question. Five Fingers Freddy, greetings and salutations. What are your thoughts on how we will limit the LA rushers? So pass rushers, I'm assuming you're talking about. The fortunate thing if you're a Detroit Lions is that you look at your offensive line, and I'm not going to say it's the best in the NFL. I'm not going to say it's worse in the NFL. I'm going to say it's probably near the top of the NFL. Where if you want to say it's 1 through 5, whatever, I'll leave that to you guys to debate. But what I will say is the coaches are aware that they can leave, Decker, Penei Sewell in a lot of one-on-one situations to try to slow down, whether it's Bosa, Mack, or whoever for LA. Nothing but respect to those rushers, but also let's show our tackles and offensive line some respect. So with that being said, I'm expecting, we'll see if I'm wrong, But if the Chargers, try to use multiple pass rushers to go after Goff more than just the standard 4 crossed that they do on most downs, I think they'll probably at that point make some adjustments, and that'll probably come down to Goff. They've probably given him freedom to make audibles and blocking assignments when needed. So what I'm anticipating to see tomorrow is that they're going to use what's known as a wedge formation. So you got 3 guys in the middle. So you're centering your 2 guards, and they're going to block in. So you're going to watch the center just basically drop back to protect Goff. Now you're going to watch both guards basically cover his shoulders. So they're going to wedge in. If you want to use a 300 reference, sort of like whatever they called it, the shield formation, whatever. But basically, those 3 guys are going to block anything in the middle. There's not going to be any gaps between them. We'll want to pay attention to that early, especially on downs if they're not the LA Chargers aren't blitzing. So what that does is by those 3 occupying such a specific space in the middle of the field, that means the tackles are all on islands. So Decker, Panay, they're going to be out there and they're going to get no help. But they're going to be able to drop back and away from the 3 in the middle to force any kind of movements from Bosa or Mac to be very long elated to have to go around. So that eats up a lot of time. It also means Goff is very well protected everywhere. If he doesn't drop back more than 3 to 4 steps or drops, that means it takes forever for that pass rush to get there. And we're talking he's going to be getting rid of the ball in 2 to 3, maybe 4 seconds. That should be plenty of time. Now, if Bosa and Mac, spin and then try to pin to come inwards, the good thing is the guards are already there. It's easy for them to extend an arm and help delay those pass rushers. That's what I'm anticipating. Of course, they're going to have to make adjustments in the game, but pay attention early. When Ragnow drops back, where are the guards in the blocking assignment? Are they going out wide to help with the tackles, which means now Ragnow's in one-on-one? Or are they backing up Ragnow and leaving the tackles in one-on-one and the tackles intentionally trying to drive the pass rushers out and wide? So great question, but pay attention to that. All right, Papa Noel, good morning. I wish it was game day. Yeah, a lot of that probably today. I don't know who you guys are watching as far as college football, but hey, if you're a straight NFL fan, then yeah, you want to get through today and get to tomorrow. So all right, Phil, what do we got? We must push this show format to the people. I've never heard such truth, such knowledge, and fun to a chat room. It's us and Dan. Do the do. Half and half, of course. Yeah. Thanks for that, Phil. Yeah, half diet, half regular. Yeah. And thanks for the comments, man. Nice support. Damon, what do you got? Morning, Duke crew. Are we going to extend Goff or go with Hooker after this year? I think that's a great question. And if you look at Brad Holmes' past, and say, hey, this is what we're going to try to base our calculations on, I would say it's 90% they're going to extend Goff. Now, I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I would say you want to pay attention to the verbiage to that contract. I'm going to guess Goff's representation, I should say, are going to want a 4 to 5 year deal minimum. The Lions, if they're trying to push for a 2 or 3 year deal, that means I think they're doing everything they can to get Hendon Hooker ready in that 2 to 3 year window. And that's when they'll, allow Goff to more than likely go on, and they'll go with Hooker. At least that's an idea for him. If Goff's contract is 4 to 5 years, we also want to see, hey, are they able to, is the team, the Lions, able to get out of it fairly, inconsequentially after year 2 or 1 or 3? So other things to pay attention to for sure. Phil, you say 3 years? Yeah, that would put him at 31. But, really for today's NFL quarterbacks, 31, 32, you're still in your prime. Again, I think he's playing at a very good level. I think he was slightly better last year. But, you're kind of splitting hairs to a certain degree. He's playing very, very well. Let's see how the rest of the year goes, and that may be the tell what they do with him. Mike, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Same to you, Phil. Greetings and salutations. Doug Laporte, Goff will get 4 to 5 years, I would think. Yeah, and I'd say, again, I think that's probably where they're going to try to go with things. I think Brad Holmes said it very eloquently this offseason when he said it's a whole lot easier for them to get worse at the position than it is for them to get better. What does, let's just say if it's between Goff and Hooker, what does one give you that the other doesn't? Hooker at this point is obviously the great unknown. He hasn't played a single snap in the NFL. Heck, man, he hasn't even really gotten reps in the NFL. So I would say this: Goff is steady Eddie. You know what you're going to get from him. He reads defenses pretty dang well. He knows, his marks, his coverages. He knows how to adjust blocking assignments. We just talked about that a little bit ago. So a lot of those nuances, you know exactly what you're going to get with him. He's completing nearly 70% of his passes, so his accuracy really isn't in question. There's been some, misfires here and there with interceptions, a little bit higher rate than we saw a year ago, but some of them too. Man, it's hard not to throw some interceptions half the time, because you look at every NFL quarterback that's ever played, you're going to get got by a defense every once in a while, or a tip pass is going to happen, or maybe just misread. So I would say this: Goff is a known quantity. Now, if you look at Hooker, he's, I'm going to say, a little bit more athletic. And by little, I mean a whole lot more athletic as far as getting out and scrambling. His arm strength, I would say, is superior to Goff's, and I don't think that's much of a question. But does he have all the other nuances that will make or break somebody? I think Baker Mayfield, for example, has got a lot of good traits about him, but I think he's got enough uncertainty about him that, man, I'd be real hesitant to make him my franchise quarterback. And there's other guys you could bait. That's just the first one off the top of my head. So I will say this: Goff hasn't given us a reason yet to get rid of him, and I don't think he will in the next foreseeable years. But I'm not also out there in practice all the time. I'm not also watching, him exclusively all the time like Brad Holmes and other representation of the Lions are. So it'd be interesting, again, to see what they say in the contract extension when they offer it. Price for Goff, $50 million per year. It could happen for sure, Phil. I could say, man, I think he's going to get 45 a year minimal. Does it go above 50? I think that's where they start running into some problems. And I don't know what next year's salary cap's going to be. I'd be BSing you guys if I told you I did. But how much of that are you going to put in them? And now you think about who you have to re-sign that's coming up from really the first draft class of Brad Holmes. And then obviously the year after that. So you're going to make some tough choices. You also have, like this year, we've talked about it, where you got Ragnow, you got both tackles, Decker and Sewell, and you've got Joan Jackson coming up. How many of those guys you're going to be able to retain and pay comfortably in order to keep them? And then, you are going to have some expiring contracts on the defensive side that I would say will free up some money. So there'll be a lot of questions to be had for sure. I will say this could be potentially the Detroit Lions' most interesting offseason we've ever seen. We got to get through this season first, and this season's got a lot of promise left. But man, oh man, that will be a great video when that comes. All right, went on too long about that, I'm sure. So, Phil, what do you got? If Ben gets a head coaching job, he may take Goff with him, along with some of our coaches. It definitely can happen. The good thing with Goff is you could franchise him and keep him. I guess technically you could franchise him 2 years in a row and keep him for 2 straight years, which would obviously force Ben Johnson and whatever team he goes to, if they wanted Goff, to either have to trade for him or just simply move on in a different direction. Man, as far as coaching staff, there'll be some every year. There's coaches that move on. It's just part of the business. Somebody's going to give you a bigger contract. Somebody's going to give you a longer term contract, maybe guaranteed money. Whatever it is, coaching is a profession. And you guys, if you watch this channel for a while, my thoughts on it. Just having been through it for 30 plus years now, I'd say this. Most coaches, I would push you forward and say, somebody offers you a new contract with better terms, you take it, because you never know when the axe is going to come down from you. If you guys have watched pro sports, you're the coach of the year one year. The next year they're trying to fire you because the team's not performing well. So you're as good as you are currently. So when you get a paycheck, you go and take it. Garland, what do you got? Which back starts tomorrow? Oh, man. I guess right now I'd be inclined to say Gibbs. Doesn't mean Montgomery doesn't start, but I'd say I'm guessing Montgomery's still a little tender under that flak jacket he's going to wear tomorrow. So they may be trying to protect him a little bit more. protect's kind of a bad term to use with a running back, because no matter what you do, they're going to take hits. They're going to take punishment, especially someone like him who runs inside so much. Not that Gibbs doesn't run inside, but you guys get the point. They're going to take hits. They're going to put a flak jacket on. I'm fairly certain on them, and they're going to put as much padding, especially in the center of the chest area, to try to limit impact on those, bruised ribs and cartilage. So it'll be interesting to see, but could they potentially start both backs? They could. I don't think they'll start that way, but man, who knows what Ben Johnson's got cooking. And I talked about a little bit earlier, I want to see how these offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators have evolved. That will be one of the big tells, is do they put both guys out there starting from the opening play on offense? All right, Don, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Every game is a must win. We've been saying that since Kansas City game. I agree with you, Don. Years past. I mean, man, you've been a fan for forever. There probably weren't that many must-win games on the schedule, but we're in rarefied air here. To your point, that really, if you're trying to make it to one of the top 3 spots in the NFC, let alone win the division, then yeah, you've got to treat every game as a must-win. You can't have letdown games like Carolina last year, because every game you lose, your chance of getting one of those top 3 seeds goes down exponentially. So, Don, you're 1,000% correct. They need to come out here, and not just for the media, not just for this, that, and the other thing, not for power rankings or whatever. They need to do it for themselves, from their own selfish interests. Detroit Lions have an opportunity to do something they haven't been able to do in 30 years. And that's not just have a home playoff game, but have the road for the playoffs go through Detroit. So I'm with you, man. Get those wins. Do whatever you got to do, man. Go Nancy Kerrigan if you have to, and go over there and take out Justin Herbert. Whatever you got to do, get it done. All right. I hope everybody got the Nancy Kerrigan commentaries. Some people might not, though. All right, Scott, what do you got? Good morning. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're having a great one. The living legend himself, Kurt Steele. What up, though? Man, when are you coming back on the show? When are we going to get you back on here, man? You let me know, man. Reach out and say something. Hopefully you're having a good one and a little bit more warmth than we got here in Michigan right now. Birds, good morning, Lions faithful, and Mr. Do himself, Dan the man. Hey, good morning to you too, Bergs. And I might have to get some gear that says that, Mr. Mountain Dew. I'm down with that. And thanks for that, man. Phil, what do you got? It's true, they can't beat good, experienced coaches. They struggle with them, and that's kind of my point. Every year this regime has been in. I mean, again, if you guys have watched the channel for a while, these coaches, in their defense and also to the hindrance, they're very new at their positions. And while they're getting more reps, experience, they're evolving. There's still so much that you can see they get hit with, and they just don't have answers for it because they haven't done this very long. 3 years in the world of a coach is not very significant. And to their credit, they've made the most of it, but they're going to be facing, I get the head coach is under fire in LA. And, part of the job, right? But I would say this, I want to see that they could come out and start over the second half of this year. I want to see them out scheme other people. I want to see them be able to make adjustments faster in games. That Baltimore game, I mean, I'm glad I wasn't doing a live cast of that one, because I was having a hard time watching that game unfold. And I'm sure all Lions fans were. My point was more from the lack of adjustments and some of the schematics or stubbornness we stuck with. We went into the game plan and we're going to say, nah, we're going to stick with this no matter what. And, I can only tell you my thoughts. That's not a good sign of coaching. You're getting shredded. You need to give the players a reason to keep playing. Otherwise, they're as human as anybody else. And they're typically a whole lot younger than the coaches. You give them an idea that we don't got a chance, they emotionally and physically let down. You've got to be able to find a way to rally troops. So, all right, Lorraine, what do you got? Don't forget the likes. Yeah, if you guys got a free second, you enjoying the content, go ahead and hit that like button. Maybe if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscription button as well. Dr. D, what do you got? Heading to Louisville. Good morning. Good morning to you too. What are you doing over there? Just having fun, or are you going to watch a game or something? Hopefully, whatever it is, you have a good trip and a great day. Kurt, what do you got? Lion fan looks like James Palmer from NFL Network. I wonder, huh? All right. I'll have to try to check that out later, man. Silver Surfer, what do you got? Man, people, right before it starts, we got to hurry up and write something. It is becoming like those restaurants where you got to make reservations. That's a good one, man. Yeah, it does seem like you get to about, I don't know. I know Phil jumps in. He's one of the first ones usually, and there's occasionally some other people, but I'd say about 15 minutes before the show goes on, I walk by, check a few things, make sure I didn't forget anything, like the mute button, and yeah, there's usually some conversations going on. Now we got Coach, next game versus Bears will be a must win versus Bears because it's a divisional game. I would agree with that 100%. And can't lose to a 3-win team. Every week is must win according to us all. I would agree with you, Don, 100%. And I'm going to guess Justin Fields will be back that game. And that's going to be, that in itself is going to be a challenge because he gave us tons of problems last year. One of the things that helped us last year was James Houston on the opposite side. And obviously we don't have him right now. You guys have heard me talk about, I do think Jack Campbell is coming along. And I'm trying not to say the P in Campbell. So I'm trying to say Campbell as best I can, man. But anyways, he's come a long way, but they're going to have a problem with Fields because the type of defense we primarily like to run with single high coverage. The other part is, Fields obviously escapability. So it'll be real interesting to see what Aaron Glenn does there. I'm really hoping he gets a little bit more creative this week and next week. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him, and I think he's going to be aware of that for sure. Before I forget, too, one other thing I wanted to say since I brought up single high coverage, when we start playing the Chargers tomorrow, I want you guys to watch the safety play. We talked about how they're going to have 5 people at on the defensive line coming up, and then 2 people right behind, 1 linebacker, 1 safety. You want to tell on their coverage. I had a little free time and watched a little bit more last night. Watch the safety that's come up behind the line along next to the linebacker. When that hike happens, watch how fast they drop backwards because the Chargers want to, as much as possible, try to confuse the offensive linemen and play double high safety. So 2 people up top. Try to really force teams into bad passing situations. Also, they're not very good against the pass, but that's a different story. So when that snap happens, how fast does that dude boogie on back into the backfield to try to put 2 safeties up high? That'll be a big tell what kind of coverage they're running. I do expect a lot of zone coverage, but also where the blitz isn't coming from. They don't blitz a ton, but when they do, you want to watch your spots. Most of the time, I think it's going to come from the 2 guys right behind the defensive lineman. But if one of them is dropping, that means they're playing straight zone and neither one of them are blitzing. So food for thought. All right, Phil, both. Man, I don't really want to go into that on here, man. I've had some pretty comfortable sales. We'll put it that way. So it's been a good career for me, and I enjoy it, man. I treat each house like when I go show houses, I try to treat them like a crime scene. I want to go through and figure out the rights and wrongs with houses. You guys have heard me say it before. Unfortunately, in the career of real estate, they don't really do a great job of training people about construction or how houses work. So unfortunately, I do believe 95% of realtors out there are basically mechanics who don't know how to work on a car. So if you ask them what kind of insulation they have or what kind of wiring they have or anything about foundations or roofs or anything, they don't know how to answer because they don't know jack about it. So that's more my interest. All right, what do you got? Jennifer, good morning. One Pride, good morning to you too. Glad to see you back in the chat. Kurt, what do you got? At Dr. D, Detroit is in. Okay. All right, Phil, biggest and money wise. Yeah, like I said, man, we'll get into that another time, man. All right, Don, what do you got? Dr. D, vacation. What up, Kurt? Let's see what we got there. Boy, you guys have got this going on. I know I have the explanation of contract for UAW. Gotcha. Dr. D, making big moves after you explain the contract with Detroit versus everybody. Yeah. Did you guys see all the stuff with like Michigan versus everybody yesterday? So, boy, I'm not touching that one. That's a lightning rod for people. So, as far as the Michigan situation, all right, Dr. D, I'm definitely gonna hit a Bourbon Sports. Okay, Jennifer, we got 3 games in 11 days. Yes, we do. What do you think our chances of winning all 3? I think they're actually pretty decent. To me, the toughest matchup throughout the entire game, as far as all 3 phases, is today. Um, I think the toughest single player matchup is going to be next week against Chicago. Just we struggle with mobile quarterbacks. We really reduce our pass rush against them. And Justin Fields, I believe this year has really evolved as a passing quarterback. And some of it's he's got better weapons. That's don't mistake that. That's an impact there. So it will be interesting to see what happens there. I just think, man, oh man, we've got to do everything we can to really contain him and put pressure on him, and without obviously allowing him to go like he did last year and just run all over us. So we'll see what shakes out, but we'll see what shakes out for sure. But as far as Green Bay, Jennifer, I think we just match up very well with them, and with it being on Thanksgiving Day, that place is going to be packed. I do believe that that's going to be a tough ask for the Packers to beat us there. We've been wrong before, though. Always, my friend, always. All right, Dr. D, and all right, talking about his trip. Phil, cool to do a little sister-wide high school playoff football. Do you have a favorite local high school team besides Kalamazoo Portage? Not so much. I mean, I do probably pay attention. I don't pay attention to a ton of high school football. If I did have to pick one, probably Lawton High School, just as I coached there for, 12 years or so. And while most of the people that I would know are gone or retired by now, it's a great school. When I coached there, just loved every spring and summer coming out there because it's a grape community. So like Welch's, it's got tons of fields there, and there's a lot of local farmers that have tons of grape farms there. And you step outside the school, and that's all you smell is the fermenting grapes. It's just awesome. So probably that one. Paw Paw 2 would be another one I probably pay attention to a little bit more because I coached there in the 90s and now. So good question. All right, Silver Surfer, super difficult game. If the African Flings gets this one, it's going to mean something for us. Real old Lions fans still can't believe all these wins. Yeah, I would agree. I think to your point, Silver Surfer, there's a lot of us are waiting for everything to go south on this season, and to the credit of the team and the coaches, they haven't really had that opportunity. I mean, yeah, I get everybody was probably breaking their TVs after the Baltimore game when we lost in overtime against Seattle. The kind of same thing. Everybody was like, it's the beginning of the end. So a win here also helps. Tomorrow would also help kind of with the psyche of a lot of Lions faithful. So I get your point, man. Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity to help continue to change the momentum, the psyche of the fan base and the culture. All right, what I got? Statistically, the number one seed overall has a 52% chance of winning the Super Bowl. Little known fact. I did not know that. I would say the number one seed, definitely has a better chance to make the Super Bowl just because you have one less game. You're going to have a favorable matchup as far as, the first game you're going to play the lowest seeded team out there. And then, of course, the other part is you get to play all your games at home, right? So big things there for sure. Reasons to keep playing and keep trying to get that number one seed. All right, Ed, what do you got? Good morning, Coach. My Lions friends don't think this is a must win. I say it is. What say you? I say it is. Because sort of like Don was pointing out earlier, man, every game this time of year and the rest of the year are going to be must win games. Unless we get real late in the year where we've already, we just can't, we've got the number one seed or we can't improve our seed anymore. We've won the division, then they're all going to be impactful because the margin for error, especially since Philadelphia's, only got one loss, your margin for error, if you want to catch them, is about 0 at this point until they can get knocked off once or twice. Yeah, every game is going to be must win. All right, Kurt Steele, Dr. Detroit, hit up Uncle Nearest Distillery. You won't regret it. Okay. You guys got something going on here. All right. Don, what do you got? I actually think we win by a decent margin tomorrow, 10 to 13 points. All right. Don Mao, what has you that comfortable with this game? That was what I want to know. Dash, what do you got? Yes, I made it in time today. Hope everyone is good. Has a good Saturday morning. Yeah, it's going to be a great day. And I actually got only a half day of work today. So when this show's over, man, I'm going to go get that morning Mountain Dew. I'm going to be able to relax a little bit before my first appointment at 3 o'clock. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you have a good one too, man. All right, mile marker, a good morning. Do you think the Germany game will be Patriots over Colts, even a chance? Whew. I think, man, it's almost crazy for me to say this. I think the Patriots are going to try to play for draft position. Belichick's got pride, and I get it. He wants to catch Don Shula and a bunch of other stuff. But I do think if I'm running that team, which I'm not, at this point, you just don't have any difference makers on that team. That team is really devoid of talent. I think the coaching's still there, but coaching can only do so much. At the end of the day, if you don't have talented players that are basically equal, at least, to the talent on the other side of the field, then coaching just doesn't matter that much. Not over the course of a full game. You might be able to catch a few things here and there go your way, but man, the Patriots are as devoid of talent of almost any team in this league. And they've got to try to lose out to try to get as high a draft pick, not just in the first round, but every round as they can, because they need to go out there. And unfortunately for them, their history of drafting hasn't been that great in the last decade or so. So could be interesting to watch, but it's hard to tell coaches to lose. I can tell you this, man. Somebody told me to lose. I can tell you what I would say to them. I'm playing to win every game, but I think it would be best for the franchise if they got higher draft picks. All right, Scott, what do you got? I think Hutchinson will have a big game. What do you think? Man, unfortunately, Scott, I think it just comes down to what they can do opposite of him. Aleem McNeil has played fairly well this year. I think probably better than most expectations, but I also think he's been inconsistent, at least on pass rushing. The run stuffing game, stop of the run, he's been real consistent. A lot of their players have been throughout the year. The tough part for them and for Hutchinson is just, man, he is getting doubled and sometimes tripled when you count the chipping, basically the last 3 or 4 games. And people trying to say, hey, man, his numbers are down the last few games. Are you watching film? That's the one problem I have with a lot of media people is I go, man, this guy knows nothing about sports, because they're saying, oh, he's having a bad year, he's a bust or whatever. Okay, why is the person having a bad year or a bust? And I would say that with a lot of younger quarterbacks too, that, man, that's why I just don't listen to most media, just because I think they're just, spitting out, regurgitating what somebody else said. So to get Hutchinson going though, Scott, kind of getting back to your question, I think they're going to have to be very intentional with some of their pass rushing assignments. They can't go with that cone formation that they've used so much, because it just doesn't put any pressure on quarterbacks. It does get the pocket to collapse on the quarterback, and yes, you can't scramble through it very easily. But man, oh man, at some point you got to say, while we're stopping them from running, we're getting killed through the air. And I would say they've got to try to do some things to put pressure on Herbert and get him on the ground. And I would be leaning towards that early, not just late. Go Blitzburg on it. You've heard me say that. And once you start doing that and getting some other guys to get wins away from Hutchinson, then he's going to go back to being more effective, because teams won't be able to put 3 people or 2 people on him 100% of the time. So we'll see. Buzz, what do you got? After watching the Chargers recently play, I think our defense should be able to get after Herbert. I agree, man. And we were talking about a little bit yesterday, Buzz, that the Chargers are really hurting offensively. Allen's still great. Eckler is phenomenal as well. But after that, their tight ends, they do have one dude who's like, I don't know, 7 foot tall or something. He's like 6'8", 6'9", something like that. He's a massive dude. You watch his route running. It's not that great. Some of their off the non-Allen receivers, and I get part of this is because they've lost a couple guys for the season. Like Mike Williams, I know tore his ACL and he's done for a while, but some of their guys opposite of Allen just they're not great at getting open. They're not great speed wise. There's no single component with those individuals where you're like, man, we've got to put 2 dudes on them. There's no real threat there other than just, I guess breakdowns in coverage. Now I say that, watch, they'll have 2 guys catch 500 yards by halftime or something. But I do think you can zone this team up pretty well. And get away with it while running a few more blitzes to get after him. It'll be interesting to watch our defensive line from the beginning of the game, what they do to help each other get open. Because to me, we don't have a lot of players other than Hutchinson currently out there that get a ton of 50-50 win rates. So you're left one-on-one blocking assignment. How often are you winning versus losing? We need guys that are going to get 60-70% of the time wins. That means you're getting pressure on. To me, when we watch the Lions get pressure, it's more schematically. I'm doing something with player A and B to get player C open to rush. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it also means the coaches have identified these guys can't do it on their own. We've got to try to help them get win rates. So we'll see what shakes out. All right, Dash, what do you got? 12-5 season record? Okay, I'll go with that. Don, I say Goff for 2-3 years. Yeah, I would say, yeah, I think more and more, and it would depend on what they think they have with Hooker. There's a strong possibility for that. It just is going to come down to whether or not Goff's going to be willing to take that. Big T, good morning, Coach. One Pride. By the way, if you ever get a chance, Big T, check out Big T's in Lawton, Michigan. It's got like over 1,000 beers. And if there's like some sort of club there, and I don't drink beer, but some sort of club where if you go in there and eventually drink it all, like one of each of the beers, you get like a free steak dinner or something like that. So figured I'd give you a shout out on that since, your name lines up with that pretty well. Cloud, we got good morning and salutations. Same to you. Big T, what do you got? The 2-year deal is the best in my opinion. It might happen, man. Big T, 2-year deal. Yeah, it could be. And again, we'll see what they do with them, but it would tell you something. All right. Kurt, what do you got? Dan looks like James Palmer from NFL Network. I'm going to have to check that dude out. So apparently he's a very striking individual. All right. Phil, did you interview for Chat Sports slot, Dan? I didn't know they had one an opening. So nobody's contacted me. I'll put it that way. Unless they're I couldn't tell you anything about that, man. So that's Chat Sports. I want to say that's Micro Mike anyway. So he's got that show. All right, Bergs. I'd give 5. He's in the prime and he's proven he has been through everything already. So why risk getting worse at the position? I ride with Goff. Yeah, and I think it'll be real interesting to see where they take Goff's contract. And they're probably going to try to protect themselves somewhere. To your point, Bergs, if they give him a 5-year deal that, hey, if for some reason he regresses or maybe just Hooker is all that, then we can get out of this contract in 3 years or so. But I was a little surprised something didn't happen over the bye, but I guess they're going to wait till the end of the year now. Derek, what do you got? We would not realize how lucky we are to have Goff until we had that is a good point. Zach Wilson or Kyle Murray. When you have a terrible QB, you have no shot. Yeah. And you look, man, just at the Thursday night football game. And I'm not going to put it all on saying bad quarterbacking. But, man, if you don't have that quarterback, it's just so tough to do anything. And you watch, especially the Bears kid, and I get, okay, this guy's in over his head at this point. He needs time to adjust to the NFL game. But you look at the route concepts that the Bears called 99% of the time for him. Man, that defense just had to be licking its chops to tee off on anybody coming out of the backfield or the short curls. You had some stuff maybe 5 to 8 yards over the middle. I know he missed 1 or 2 deep shots that he could have had, but that's also, everything they were running was just, hokey pokey middle school type routes because they knew he didn't feel comfortable doing anything more. When he hiked that ball, rarely did his eyes come off the first read. And same with Young, even though Young is evolving as a quarterback, he's just, man, it's still going too fast for him. And I think that hopefully, I wish them both well. I hope they both evolve and have good careers. But to your point, Derek, man, we can also, there can be people that say, man, we can get better than Goff. But you better make sure you got someone who's better than Goff before you drop Goff, because otherwise, we could tank backwards real quick. All right, Dr. D, what do you got? Goff is the safe pick, and even though I'm not a huge Goff fan, he has done his job better than I would have thought he would have. I'd pay him, but not $50 million. So, Dr. D, what do you think is a good amount to pay Goff? I'm going to say 45, and if we get it closer to 42, I'd be fine with it, man. And especially, we all know whatever contract Goff signs now, 2 years from now, it's going to look like a steal of a deal. So it is what it is. All right, Trey, hey, good morning to you. Grand Rising, folks. Goff got to prove himself in the playoffs this year and then start talking about any kind of deal. Yeah, regular season is one thing, postseason is another thing. I think the Lions, the one tough spot they're in is if you're not going to keep them, you've got to be sure you've got somebody that's as least equal to them. Because again, if you ain't getting better, you're getting worse. And I was talking to my players yesterday about it. The moment you stop grinding, you start declining. And it's a whole lot easier to get worse than Goff than it is probably to be better. But I'll say this: Brad Holmes probably already got a plan. He hasn't told us what it is yet. All right, Silver Surfer. Physical traits are important, but quarterbacking is in the head and heart. What physical traits did Tom Brady have? You got a point there. I mean, Tom Brady, even at his peak, did not have a stellar arm. Obviously, he's not much of a threat to get out there and run. But his thing is he was so diligent about the components of knowing where everybody was supposed to be, the timing, the discipline, whatever you want to say, man. He had that stuff down, and chance of finding another dude like that is a little bit tougher. Goff has got some real good strengths. Yes, he's got some things he's not great at, but name a quarterback who doesn't fit that mold. I'll just say this because we've already talked about it. It's going to be a whole lot more of a challenge to get better than him. Is Hendon Hooker that guy? Man, I don't know because we haven't seen him yet. Does he have some potential? For sure. But you're also going to probably want to see him on the practice field for a while before you let Goff go. So we'll see. All right, Phil, what do you got? Super Bowl bust? Got to it first. Nice one, man. Brett, happy Veterans Day. Enjoying a free breakfast. Good for you, man. I'm glad you're having one. Good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Go Army, go Lions, go Blue. And hopefully you're having a great one, man. And thanks for all you've done for the country, man. Enjoy your day. Silver Surfer. And like you say, let's start a game with a doggone play action for once. Yeah. I'm man, that's what I really want to see when we're just talking about the offense. Don't be predictable. When you become predictable, especially against good defenses, and I'll say this, the Chargers, okay, I get their secondary isn't great. They also have one of the best safeties in the league in Derwin. Their pass rush, I get they've got most of their sacks against lesser quality, offensive lines or whatever, but still have some respect for those guys. The problem I had with Baltimore is I just thought, man, oh man, this is as vanilla an offensive play calling as he could be. And then, of course, last game, Monday Night Football, I thought Ben Johnson was almost trying to force trick plays down our throats. So, and if those things work, great, then we're all having a different conversation. But they didn't work once. They didn't work twice. They didn't work 4 times, and you put the offense in some bad spots from it. Hey, it's part of the business of either an athlete or a coach. Plays work, you hit the shot, you make the catch, whatever it is, you're awesome. If you don't, and it all blows up in your face, then you know what? Everybody's calling for your head. It's part of it. All right, Derek, what do you got? UT might sound crazy, but I think Laporta will have a big game. Even with Derwin on him, he gives up a high percentage of receptions when he is targeted, doesn't give up TDs, big plays. So, yeah, you're 100% right, man. I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I do expect them to run back bracket coverage or double team St. Brown. And that's based on what I've seen them do over whatever I watched, like 3 or 4 games. They basically try to take away your best receiver by bracketing them. Laporta, or in this case, secondary receivers, they leave a lot of single coverage on in a zone scheme. And that's where I think, to your point, Derek, the big plays could be had, because if the Lions can block out the pass rush for a bit, that means as the longer that snap count goes, so okay, Goff's got 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds to throw. If you got guys out there in single coverage against the zone, that zone really breaks down in a hurry. No different than man. The only difference is there's no or less help for recovery if somebody does break free. Laporta could have a monster game. I do think you want an ideal setup for Jameson Williams. This is probably it. Because if they do play so much zone, that zone's going to have a real hard time guarding him if they're just going to keep running him on deep shots. Laporta, Reynolds, whoever's off St. Brown is going to have every opportunity they could ask for to get out there and have like a career day. Also means with the blocking assignment, the running game with play action or whatever, you could have a ton of those guys, whoever the running backs are, leaking out into the flats and getting some easy catches. And again, especially if it's a delayed route where the zone has to backpedal a little bit, and give up more space or separation from the line of scrimmage. Yeah, it'll be real interesting to watch what unfolds there. But I'm thinking, you want an ideal setup for the Lions to have a big passing game? This is it. As long as you can block out the pass rush and you don't shoot yourself in the foot too, I guess. All right, Bergs, Nancy Kerrigan. Yeah. How many people, let me know how many people got that reference, because I get it's getting a little bit older. All right, Derek, I think the fact that Detroit got to LA early will have a big impact on the outcome. Yeah. Get there, let everybody kind of get their internal clocks going, catch up, etc. Derek, Fields could see a lot of Campbell and Mr. Branch in spy role with Houston not playing. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. And we'll save this a little bit for when we after we get past this game. But I do have some inkling that they're almost going to have Branch be an outside blitzer against Houston just to try to keep him contained a little bit more. But again, I'll dive in that deeper and how I think that will unfold. All right, Derek, clean your threshold. I was a realtor and property manager for years. Yeah, I would say, there are definitely people that know it, but I mean, if you've done it for a while, Derek, you probably get it. There's a whole lot of people in the industry. Unfortunately, they're great with paperwork, all the legalities and stuff like that. If you ask them, hey, what does this tell you about the foundation based on what you're seeing here? When you look up at the ceiling, you see, I don't know, basically like somebody took a fist to a windshield. What does that tell you about the foundation? Stuff like that. Just unfortunately, a lot of them aren't trained in that department. Mr. Nico, hey, good morning to you. What do we got here? Good morning, Coach. The Lions need wins, but how is the rest of the division? Vikings and Packers are not that far behind. No, they're not. But the good thing is, and I was talking about it with somebody in the chat on one of the videos a couple of days ago. The Lions control their own fate. They're not like last year where, hey, we need team A or B or C to do something in order to keep us relevant. They're able to control their own fate. So when they play those teams, they win. Hey, then they can't get caught. So that does keep a little bit of pressure on those games and impactfulness of those games. Some meaning behind them. But hey, you control your own fate. You can't ask for much more than that, in my opinion. All right, Derek, what do you got? Knobs is looking capable. The Vikings will be a different team when we play them for sure. Yeah, and he'll offer some variations from Kirk Cousins, but let's also be real. Kirk Cousins was having a phenomenal year. That's a huge loss. And Dobbs can be a good player, but he's going to have a real road to play at the same level that Kirk Cousins was. Doesn't mean he can't do it. I'm just saying it's going to be a challenge for him. All right, Kurt, what do you got? Happy Veterans Day to my fellow vets. Yeah, and same to you, man, because I know you were a Sarge as well. Dr. D, one way or the other, we learn a lot more from the Detroit Lions and who they are. Are they a good team? ? Who's on the way up, or are they a team that's ready to win now? Good question. Yeah, the more you face good competition, and I won't call the Chargers great, but they're good competition. The more you get a better understanding, like you're saying, about who we are as a team. Jennifer, sorry, Dan, about last week. That hour drop back really messed with my head. I'm just now getting back on track. Hey, man, it messed with a lot of people. And I noticed, man, yeah, it gets darker a whole lot earlier. Phil, is Bugs playing this game? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I didn't see him on any reports that I can think of this week. So I think it would just come down to tomorrow whether they want him activated or maybe Broderick Martin. But I'm anticipating him to play, but maybe I'm wrong. All right, Joseph, AG is on the hot seat. He must scheme a lot of pressure that will get to the quarterback. Yeah, and Joseph, to your point, that's what I was saying a little bit ago. The Lions don't have a lot of guys who can generate pass rush pressures on their own, so it's got to come out of schematic principles. Aaron Glenn has done a good job with that at times, but he's also, in my my thought, kind of held some guys back with some of his play calling. And I get you don't want guys running all over you, but he's got to maybe be a little bit more inventive at times. All right, Dr. D, I'll do that, Kurt. All right. Man Bear, Jennifer Beaver, same here, just getting adjusted to the time change. Yeah, and it's happening to all of us, man. Dr. D, yeah, would have got Hutchinson some help. Maybe he wouldn't be able to be double teamed. The one I wanted, really, I mean, I can get some of the thoughts on Chase Young, but Montez Sweat, man, if we could have gotten him, it just feels like the Bears outbid us. Like I do believe we offered a third and probably a later round pick for him. They weren't willing to go up and supersede the Bears pick because everybody knew the Bears' second round pick was basically a late first round pick, which means the only way you can leapfrog them really is to give up your first round pick. And yeah, the Lions weren't going to be willing to do that. And obviously they didn't do it. All right, Don, I'm ready for some unexpected player to have a game. Kamish, Pascal, Khalif, a name hardly mentioned, but it seems like it's hard for guys to get in a rhythm because of rotation, defense, and offense. Yeah, there's probably some truth to that for sure, man. Who could have a breakout game tomorrow? Out of the guys you listed, I'm going to go with Pascal. I think he's, out of that list, he's the one with probably the most potential to get out there and have a breakout game. I say that, they probably will deactivate him right now for tomorrow. Al, what do you got? Morning, fans. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for all your services. They should put Houston on the edge if he is good to go. He did good his first year. Yeah, I think once he's healed up and healthy, he'll help out significantly. And if you guys were watching Lions Talk Live from the preseason, that was one of my biggest gripes, is that nothing against Charles Harris, man, might be the best dude in the room from a personality standpoint, coachability standpoint, but that dude ain't getting wins, and he got blocked out a ton. Where Houston, even the little amount of snaps he got against Kansas City, you could see him getting to Mahomes and getting pressure on him. So, again, I've talked about the coaches being stubborn. I think they're doing a great job, but sometimes you've got to be flexible with your beliefs and not just put everybody in a corner. Joseph, thanks, Al. Tori, yep. Jennifer, what do you got? I really believe that Goff is going to get a contract of 3 years and 130. That's probably if I'm the Lions front office, that's probably about what I want. I just think he's going to be pushing for 4 to 5 years. And if we don't give it to him, I'll tell you this, somebody else will. Micro Mike has Chat Sports slot. Yeah, he does, Kurt. Yeah, you're right. Did not mention Lions split. Chat Sports expanding. They have one dude going 2 teams. That I don't know about, man. I'm interested in covering the Lions. I'm interested in doing this for fun. I don't know if I'd want to do it, 40 to 60 hours a week. I used to do last year videos and, record them, and that would take, 20, 30 minutes or so, and then spend another hour and a half editing them and doing all the graphics and all that. I ain't got time for all that, man. This, I hit play or record or whatever. I'm live. I'm done. I hit stop. Boom. I'm off to get my Mountain Dew. All right. If you guys want, more graphics, I hate to say it, man. This is probably going to be the channel for you. My own Marker Bergs, I'm with you on Goff's contract length. 4 to 5 years, have him in his prime. He'll give it his all. Yeah, and in 4 to 5 years, he'll be, 33, 32, somewhere in that range. Yeah, for an NFL quarterback, he'll be fine, assuming he doesn't take any major injuries or whatever. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Phil. Spot. Wayne, what do you got? Is Berg still with the Bug still with the team? I believe so. Yes. I don't think they've departed him yet. 100% facts, Derek. Yep. Berg's agreed mile marker. Dr. Troy, between 40 and 45. I can see that. Yeah, and I'd say that actually would be fairly decent value. Again, for the level he's playing at, you can't tell me that the Giants wouldn't trade their boy for Goff right now at that contract. And I think most of the league would go for that in a heartbeat. All right, Dr. D. Hey, guys, the show got me through Ohio. Hey, that's what we're here, man. We're all here for you to bring help you get through your road trip, man. All right, mile marker. This home is Semper Fi. To all vets, hope you can relax, enjoy the day, and thank you. Yeah, same to you. If all the vets out there, man, we all know it. It's not the easiest job in the world by any stretch of the imagination. I hope you all, man, any perks you can get today, go out and take advantage of them. All right, Phil, I did. Yep. Golf. We'll take the Lions where other QBs couldn't. And there's a lot to be said for that. You guys heard me say it before, man. In my lifetime, the greatest Lions quarterback ever is Eric Kramer. Why? He got a playoff win, man. And he's in a category of one. There is no second place. Steve, thumbs up. Yep. Phil, watch the Vikings. They have some magic to them. They do, man. And last year and this year. Bergs, thank you to all the vets here. I appreciate it. All of you true heroes. Yeah, you are the true heroes without question. Is David Montgomery coming back this Sunday? I believe yes, Tiger Town. Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be on the field. I think they're just gonna have him basically on a pitch count, not let him take too many shots. And again, I want to see that they've got some protective gear on his upper torso to try to limit any kind of negative damage as much as possible. I mean, really as much as you can protect a running back. All right, Don, what do you got? Goff in any other system would be below average. He is better, not overvalue himself. He needs to trade as well. I think you might be a lot more truth there than most people realize. I mean, the one thing we can say for Goff is he's had two different teams where he's taken into the top 5 offenses. There's very few people on the planet that have ever played this game that can say that. I can also say he's not an ideal fit for every system either. Just while he has got some things he's really good at, he's also got some things he's really not good at. So give Ben Johnson credit. He's doing what a good coach should do. I'm going to build my system around the talent, not try to force my system on the talent. And man, oh man, the longer you coach, the more you see that happening, and you see coaches get upset, players lose faith, all that stuff because, this is what we're going to do. Well, do you have the talent to support that? And if you don't, you've got to make adjustments. Either that or just be stubborn and slam your head into the wall. Well, guess what, everybody? My morning Mountain Dew is on Phil. I want to thank you for that, man. Thank you very much. Dew is on you or me, Dan. Least partially. No, man, 82 cents. It's still the greatest value in all the world to me. It's been 82 cents at the Circle K, I want to say, for over 10 years or something like that. So why they haven't raised the price, I don't know, but I'll take it. Mark, what do you got? Do you think Donald Peoples-Jones will see the field this week? I do. It will probably be limited. I don't know what he did to his ribs, but my guess is he's going to get 10, 15 snaps, somewhere in that range. What are your expectations for Donovan Peoples-Jones? I'll expect a ton from him. They're probably going to restrict him to, I would say, probably like 50 to 60% of the packages out there. What he's going to do route-wise, we'll wait and see. I want to establish a base, see what they did this game, and then see what they do against Chicago. And then you start to have a pretty good idea how they're going to use them. And then we'll start doing a deeper dive on it. Ed, what do you got? Great format, great show, Coach. Hey, thanks for that, man. But let's make one thing very clear. This show works because you guys are in here. If it was just me babbling to myself, man, nobody wants to watch any of that. Nobody wants to listen. Paul, good morning, Duke crew. Love your show, Dan Stempify. All my Devil Dog brothers and sisters, go Lions. And same to you, Paul. Hopefully you're having a great one and, enjoy your day, man. Close the blinds, bro. Yeah, it's that time of day, man. The sun's coming up. When we started the show an hour ago, the sun's coming up higher, man. Well, you don't like the glow? Hold on. I'll make it a Mountain Dew glow just for you, Kurt. There, we get the green screen now. I'm Barry Goy's last dragon, man. All right, enjoy your dew. Thanks, Tiger Town. Coach, do you drink water? I do, man. The GF, she makes me do it. I only have one dew a day, and it's in the morning. Every once in a while, I might have a second one, but I try to only drink one a day. The rest of it, it's either like soy milk, almond milk, water, stuff like that, man. Yeah, I knew what you meant, man. Hey, folks, maybe if you haven't already, mile marker, think about clicking like and also share and then copy. You don't even have to send it, but it still counts good for the channel. Hey, thanks for that, mile marker. I guess I didn't realize that about the share stuff, but if you guys are willing to do it, please do. And again, we're trying to get the channel to 4,200 subscribers by kickoff tomorrow. We need I want to say like 30, 35 or something like that. So if you're watching, haven't subscribed, hey, you want to help me out, go for it. Dr. Detroit Kramer is still king, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they really should have like one of those Lord of the Rings, 200-foot tall statues in front of Ford Field of Eric Kramer, because the day he won that game, man, he was just on fire. And yeah, that was one of the few losses the Triplets and the Dallas Cowboys ever had in the 90s, in the playoffs, that is. Still, why they let him go, man, I wonder why they did that. I'll always wonder why. But anyways, Phil, it's the Do Halo. Yes, it is. Kurt, hey man, that's for you. That's for you. Do the do and have a good day. Same to you, man. Yeah. Berg's 82 cents. Wow, that's a steal. Any size too. That's the crazy part. You want to go in there and get, like, I get the smallest one possible. It's like 10 ounces or something like that. But I know they've got some that are like 64 ounces or something like that. And so you're almost getting what, a 2-liter at that point for 82 cents. Tiger Town Mountain Dew energy drinks are the best, man. They are, man. But I try to avoid them. I do love them, but I can also tell the effect they have on me, and so I try to avoid having them. Every once in a while, maybe I'll have one. But anyways, Phil, Jennifer making you drink soy milk. No, that's me, man. I've had almond milk and soy milk for years, man. That's just, you're getting older. You got to find different ways to take care of yourself. Don't wimp out. Moo milk. All right. What up though? You're allowed to say help a brother out. It's okay. I do say that sometimes, but being on the mic, I sometimes watch what I say. So, all right, guys, it is over an hour on the mic and on the show. So it is after 8 a.m. as well. So I'm going to get going here, taking on off, go get that morning Mountain Dew, and then get a few things done before I show some houses today. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Maybe leave a thumbs up button. If some breaking news happens today, I'll get on and throw it at you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you all tomorrow morning on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.